Even with America's blood still boiling over the 9/11 attacks, the first photos of hooded and shackled prisoners being shipped to Guantanamo Bay came as a shock. All told, nearly 800 alleged terrorists, the so-called worst of the worst, were sent to Guantanamo.
These aren't common criminals or bystanders accidentally swept up on the battlefield.
That was the justification for Guantanamo. And it's an exaggeration, according to Matthew Waxman, a former Pentagon official in charge of detainee affairs.
I wouldn't say they were the worst of the worst. Were some people brought to Guantanamo extremely dangerous? Absolutely. But were some people brought to Guantanamo who never should have been detained in the first place? Yeah, I think so too as well.
Some, like this Canadian suspected of throwing a grenade which killed an American soldier, were juveniles at the time. His interrogation is the only one to see the light of day. They were to be tried for war crimes, but could be held indefinitely even if found innocent.
Even in a case where an enemy combatant might be acquitted, the United States would be irresponsible not to continue to detain them until the conflict is over.
Guantanamo Bay, which has a unique status as American territory on foreign soil, was chosen for a very specific legal reason.
Place the facility and the detainees outside of the full reach of U.S. constitutional protections.
The inmates were not considered prisoners of war protected by the Geneva Convention.
If you want to interrogate detainees more aggressively, so the thinking went, you needed to find ways around those limitations of the Geneva Conventions.
Rumsfeld once called allegations of torture utter nonsense. But the chief legal officer for Guantanamo now says one prisoner, Mohammed al-Qahtani, was tortured. As a result, Susan Crawford has refused to prosecute the man believed to have been the 20th hijacker on 9/11. In 7 years, the military commissions set up to try the worst of the worst have produced just 3 convictions.
The military commissions process has so far been a failure. It was created in order to provide both fair but swift justice, and so far it hasn't met either of those tests.
In the end, Katie, it was hard to tell which posed the greater threat, terrorists at Guantanamo or the damage it's done to America's image. Katie?
David Martin at the Pentagon. Thank you so much, David.